Sachin, if you want, you can put. Sachin, if you want, you can put your screen on share.
Okay, let me just.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'll just start. So, hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar session brought to you by Siksha Study Abroad in collaboration with ETS India. We also have brought two most popular universities from Canada. We have with us University of Alberta and Toronto Metropolitan University. Student, in today's webinar, we will be talking about the life, the programs, opportunities and jobs in Canada. And our presenters from these two universities will help you with your queries if you have any regarding your education, any, career-oriented questions you have, you can ask them. And we also have with us ETS India, who will also help you with your queries regarding English language test and how TOEFL can help you get better visa acceptance to Canada. But before that, I will introduce our presenters today. We have with us Mr. Sachin Jain, who is the country manager for India and South Asia at ETS India. Our second presenter is Ms. Parul Khurana. She is the Regional Recruitment Advisor for South Asia at Toronto Metropolitan University. Our next presenter is Mr. Amit Arora, who is the Senior Recruitment Advisor for India at University of Alberta. And our fourth presenter is Ms. Maria Mathai. She is the founder at Advisory Services with a lot of insights and a lot of knowledge about Canada and Canadian universities. Students, if you have questions that you want to ask our presenter, I will request you to please post your questions in the Q&A section. We will take all the questions at the end of the session. If you have questions that you want to ask directly, I will request you to click on the raise hand tab. We will unmute you at the end of the session and you can ask your questions directly to our presenters. I will now request Sachin to please start with the session. Thank you.
Thanks, Lakshmi, for having us, and hope to kind of have this in an engaging conversation on Canada. Just few slides on Canada, and for everyone to just set the context also as to what Canada is about. So it's among the top 10 largest economies in the world. Uh, uh, 40 million population. English, French are the two national languages. And important is 70% of the GDP comes from service sector, while we have heard about manufacturing and export, etc. But 70% of the GDP comes from service sector, which is finance, real estate, and healthcare. So these are the three biggest sectors within Canada. And the reason I'm kind of sharing all this is just to kind of set the context for all of you as you kind of plan your studies in Canada as to why these are important things to think about and keep in context. We were speaking earlier, Amit was mentioning about immigration and how critical is immigration for Canada as a country and skilled immigration. 23%, one out of every four Canadians is actually an immigrant. Among the highest immigration rates per capita globally. If I'm not mistaken, 1.18 per thousand. So that's the number that I recall for Canada. And that is also one of the reasons why Canada as a country is able to kind of propel on the GDP side as well. You may have heard of cities like Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver. They are growing tech ecosystems. But there are four uh, key regions from an India standpoint. And just again, sharing with you the industry side of each of these regions. So Alberta is known for oil and gas. Ontario, manufacturing and financial powerhouse. Quebec, aerospace, clean energy. And BC, British Columbia, tech, film, and trade. And just my request to everyone is just keep these things in mind because this is very important as you look at uh, the overall journey in Canada from studies to post-study work visas to PR. So that's where all these sectors are critical when you're looking at any region for your studies. So these are the this is the how Canada is split among regions, and what I've circled are the four key regions: Ontario, British Columbia, Alberta, and Quebec. In fact, Ontario and British Columbia, if you put them together, they would be around 75% of the overall student base from India. So this is how important Ontario and British Columbia is. And going back to the previous slide, the sectors which are dominant in these two regions. And then there are these very famous cities, and then there are universities like Alberta, uh, uh, Toronto metropolitan, that are situated in some of these cities. So again, that's how you need to connect regions, cities, universities, skills. That's the overall roadmap that one has to keep in mind while looking at Canada as a study destination. Uh, Next, like US, Americas, a lot of Europe. So fall intake is the dominant intake. I would say 75 to 80% of the admissions happen in the fall intake, which is September to December, for which you should start. It is highly recommended you start 1 year in advance. So if you are planning for fall of 26, which is say August of 26, this is the time you need to start. This is the right time to start your standardized test, your application process for your fall 26 admissions, which could be your last year in your undergrad program. So this is how you need to plan that. Winter is not that dominant, but also but it's still there 20-25% on a thumb rule basis, January to April. Also, for some of us who may have missed the fall cycle, this is also a time to really catch up and don't lose an entire year. And again, while it is mentioned 4 to 6, but I always recommend start early. Start early for your programs, so that you have a fair chance of getting an admit from the right kind of program at the right kind of university that you're looking at. Just at a very high level. So first and foremost, eligibility criteria, you need to refer to the university website and in terms of the admission requirements for your specific program. So this is in general that I'm talking about. This is not specific to any program or university. Every university would have very clearly displayed what do they need as part of their undergrad, school, or graduate program, along with standardized exams for as part of their admission requirements. But in general, bachelor's is a 4 year program, uh, and then there's a English language requirement as well as minimum score that you need in your 12. Again, depends upon the program. Similarly, master's is a 2 year program like US, but unlike the UK and some of the other European markets. And again, bachelor's, you need a 60 to 70% in a bachelor's. Important, some of the programs in Canada accept a 3 year undergraduate program from India. It's not that every program requires a 4 year undergrad. So there are programs that require a 3 year undergrad. You need to refer back to the university website for that. Specific programs also require a GRE score. MBA, certain engineering and science specializations require a GRE, where a score of 300 plus is at a ballpark level that we see. TOEFL, both for bachelor's and for master's, is at between 80 to 90. So that's the ballpark range out of 120 that you need on TOEFL score. There are other ELTs that are also accepted, but again, refer to the university website. Important to note for Canada now, both test center and home edition or the online edition, they both are accepted in Canada. Prior, I would say 2 years prior, it was only test center for certain visa regulations, but now it is both the modalities are open. So with a home edition, Canada is accepts home edition for TOEFL, and there are only few English language tests that have both modalities. They are either otherwise test center or online. They don't offer both the modalities as what TOEFL offers. Financial proofs important. Tuition fee, the proof of payment of tuition fees, GIC, which is your guaranteed investment certificate of 20,000 Canadian dollars. That's what you need to show, which is also to showcase your cost of living for a year. And then, in case you have taken a loan from a bank, proof of that, statements of your Indian bank account and Canadian bank account, in case you have opened a Canadian bank account to transfer the GIC, which was there in bullet 2. At a very high level, so I'm not getting into the details, but to give you a broad idea of what are the some of the most critical, I would say, requirements if you want to study undergrad or grad programs in Canada. This is important, and these are some of the changes. So the Canadian higher education and international students related regulations have gone through multiple changes in the last, I would say, 12 to 18 months. And sometimes it becomes difficult even for us to keep a track of what has changed and what has not changed. So that's what we have tried to summarize for you. So first is a concept called Designated Learning Institution, DLI. You will hear a lot about DLI. And what is a DLI? DLI is officially approved by a provincial or territorial government to enroll international students. So if an institution is not DLI, they cannot enroll in international students. And every DLI has been given a number. So there's a number, a specific number that's given to every DLI. That said, uh, another important element is if you're not studying at a DLI, you would not be eligible for a Canadian study permit, but more important, for a postgraduate work permit also. So hence, a designated learning institution is very, very critical. Just be doubly sure, as in when you're looking at your choice of programs and universities, institutions, that whether they are a DLI and they they have the number designated to them. Very important is some private colleges, even if they are listed as a DLI, are not eligible for postgraduate work permits. So it's not that just because you are a DLI, every private college also can result in a postgraduate work permit. So these are finer nuances, but we want you to be very, very clear. Have those questions asked in terms of your choice of program and the institution, whether you are a DLI, and as a DLI, are you permitted to even offer postgraduate work permit? That's very critical. And there is no way you can hop on the same study visa from one institution to another. In case you want to change, it will be a new study permit. It cannot be on the same permit. So in case anybody counsels you that you can do that, please be very, very clear. It is not possible anymore. So there is no visa hopping that is allowed. DNIs, you need to be clear in terms of whether they are a designated learning institution and whether they are allowed to kind of offer a PGW. Very clear. PL, this is another element that you would hear lot often, especially with regards to Canada. Provincial attestation letter. For all provinces except for Quebec, you need a PAL. And the PAL is actually an authorization for you to be offered an admission, a seat into that province and into that university. So very important for you to have that, because without this, your study permit cannot be processed. So very important, it's a mandatory requirement. So just keep these words or these phrases, and you can research more as you are kind of looking at and evaluating to study in Canada. Uh, SDS, something that was there till last year, it has been abolished. So there is no more a concept called SDS or student direct stream. It has gone. So in case somebody tells you that you can apply and get a visa in 20 days under SDS, say no. There is no such concept that applies today. So there is nothing like SDS which is there today, and you have everybody now is under a regular study permit process. So be very clear. What has also resulted because of the abolition of SDS is the ELT requirements have expanded. Earlier, there were only approved tests that were part of the SDS. Now, there is the test could be all approved by university or institution. So they are now the basket is much bigger. That said, another benefit that has come because of the abolition of SDS is home edition is now accepted along with test center. So in SDS regime, only test center was allowed, where a test can be taken only at a test center, but now even home editions are allowed. But these are nuances, and you don't need to cram these by heart, but just keep a note of these as you are kind of approaching the process and as you kind of discuss with your counselors and with your kind of with folks as you are kind of planning your study in Canada. TOEFL, like just to complete the conversation. So TOEFL, both home edition and at a test center, they both are approved in Canada across all programs. TOEFL uh, is cheaper than other peer tests like PT and IELTS, by around 1,100 rupees. It is the shortest test and you complete it in one sitting in less than 2 hours. While, for example, IELTS you need to take twice. In TOEFL, you can do it in one sitting in less than 2 hours. And it is also cheaper than other peer ENTs. TOEFL completed 60 years. It is the oldest test uh, as an English language test globally. So it completed 60 years last year in 2024 and kind of accepted by 13,000 universities across the globe. So one test which you can use to apply in US, Canada, UK, Europe, Australia, anywhere. So it's accepted across the globe. Very important. So what we are also coming up with is test prep to get you the best course in TOEFL. So there's a subscription, a 2 month subscription for only 499 rupees, which includes 12 mock tests and 600 plus sample questions on TOEFL that you can subscribe to. And we are also created an official guide, so to say, of TOEFL by ETS for India specific audience. And this costs around 1,100 rupees. But to any test taker in India, we are offering that free. So you just need to scan the QR code. You can download the ebook. And in case you want a hard copy, we are happy to ship a hard copy to your home for you to prepare well. GRE, some of the institutions, especially in grad programs, U15 require. I'm sure Amit and Parul will talk about those in terms of specific programs. But again, it is one test which is universally accepted across all domains. So it is not just for management, for engineering, for liberal arts, you name it. Any program, any graduate program, and if GRE is required, you can take it for any program. Unlike GMAT, which is only for management programs. And again, it is shorter, less than 2 hours, and 20,000 schools across business law and graduate, except GR. Again, test validity is 5 years. And if you want to take GRE along with TOEFL, there's a 3,000 rupees combo discount that you would get on in case you want to book for both. Coming to cost of living, and I'm just going to breeze through. Cost of living will depend upon the program, the city, the university institution that you are selecting, but it could be anywhere between 50,000 to to kind of 15,000 to 50,000 Canadian dollars. Still cheaper than the neighboring country, US, roughly 20-25% cheaper than US, and so are the living expenses. So between 30 to 60K or 70K is what you would be spending based upon your program, city, institution in Canada per annum. Important, while US only allows on an F1 visa on-campus jobs, Canada is far more flexible. So they also allow on the study permit off-campus jobs, number one. Number two, in case during your academic break, there is no time limit in terms of the time you can do a off-campus job. So that again gives you a lot more flexibility to manage your cost of living. And I would say that in general, on a thumb rule basis, one can earn up to 1,000 Canadian dollars per week, depending upon kind of where you are in Canada to manage your cost of living, which helps a lot for students, for international students, because that really kind of makes up for a lot of their cost of living. I'll not get into the details in terms of the overall visa process, but this is important. I was talking about provincial uh, uh, attestation letter, and as I was talking about, there are four provinces in Canada, even from an allocation of the quota, as we call them. These four provinces, Alberta, British Columbia, Ontario, and Quebec, account for 88% of the relevant provincial cap. 88%, guys. So that's why they are so popular with Indian students. And my colleagues, Parul and Amit, are going to talk about their university and the programs. But just keep this in mind in terms of the quota allocation as well. Uh, this is the post-study work because what we believe and what we have seen is students not just want to study, but also want to have that relevant work ex in that destination country. And that's where post-study work visa comes, work permit comes very handy in Canada, has a very liberal kind of a PGWP program up to 3 years, and it depends upon the duration. So it can be less than, it can be anywhere between 1 to 3 years, depending on the program. And as I said earlier, so designated learning institution that is allowed to offer PGWP. So That's something that you need to be very, very careful in terms of identifying your university and program. This is again very important now from EGWP to PNP. Lot of acronyms for you to digest. So provincial, what do you say, nominee program. Why this is important? As in, I always recommend students go backwards, start from this backwards. So there are in-demand skills, and which every province has circulated that these are the skills that we need in our province. And if you study in those programs, it is easier for you to get your PGWP and then PNP. So it creates a very strong and a very, I would say, smooth path of your transition from a student to post-study work to PNP and PR eventually. So that's where start from what are the skills required in that province. So if I've chosen Alberta as a province, so and probably a University of Alberta program at University of Alberta. So which are the skills in demand in Alberta, and which one kind of excites me most in terms of my study domain? That's how one should plan the study, because ultimately most of us would like to also study and then try for a PNP and a PR in Canada. So that's how you need to just look at the entire thing. And that's all from my side. Quick breeze. Happy to answer questions later on, but thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Sachin, for giving us the insight on Canada. I will, sorry, I think there's a pop pocket, no problem. I will now request Parul to please tell us about Toronto Metropolitan University and how it is shaping students' life there in Canada.
Of course, thanks, Lakshmi. I would love to do that. And Sachin, while I pull up my presentation and start to share my screen, I'd love to thank you here because you have, like kind of given us a macro view of like it's a crash course on Canada. So that's a good feeling. I have been able to share the screen. Are you all able to view my screen? No, you're not.
Yeah, now it's visible.
Okay, let me just put a slideshow here. Perfect. So I'd like to segue on, what Sachin was talking about, how Canada has been and how the job market is, what kind of fields which are, in demand for all of you students who are joining, our session today, along with ETS and Shiksha. So I'll start with my quick introduction. My name is Parul Khurana. I'm the Regional Recruitment Advisor, South Asia for Toronto Metropolitan University, Canada. My base is New Delhi, India. And yes, we build your future here. Most of you have heard about our university, but maybe as a Ryerson University. We are about an 80-year-old public funded university based out of Ontario, Toronto. However, we had a change of name in 22. And we changed our name to Toronto Metropolitan because we thought that we are, an amalgamation of all the cultures and cuisines. And there was like so much of diversity in terms of students and population. We wanted to be more metropolitan in our approach and our name as well. What you really don't know about TMU. So today's presentation, if you want to forget about everything I've said today, but just remember this one thing. We are world's #1 university-based incubator. What does that even mean? And I'll cover that eventually in my slides. Just remember this point about incubation. We have more than 60 plus undergrad programs at our university. We, of course, offer graduate level programs as well. And our co-op placement cell, works day and night to ensure that 94% of our students get employment. And even our graduate employment rate, that means that after you've graduated from a program, is very high and ranges from 91 to 94%. We have, because the city is such, which is Toronto, which is, very diverse a city, we also have a very diverse international student population at our campus, which I feel adds to your education experience in the classroom, which is amazing. We are also continuously ranked as, one of the top most prettiest campuses in Canada, though our buildings are scattered because we are in downtown Toronto and we can't really have, like a fenced campus like many other popular universities and, highly ranked universities are there. But where we really get an advantage is that all the MNCs are right across the street from us, and all the buildings, even on the campus, are about 10 minutes, away from each other by walk. One of the best things about TMU as a university is its location. Let's not, forget that. We are very active as a city. Means what? We have some contests, some events, some popular, sporting event, or even Taylor Swift concerts, and you name it, and we have it. And I don't know if how many of you have kind of read news from last week. We now also have a course on Diljit Dosanjh in our creative school. So that's how diverse we are as a university, as a city, and not to forget, as a country, we embrace all cultures. So when you come to a university like this, the biggest advantage for you will be you'll be accepted. As an international student, we sometimes, especially if any parents are joining the session today, they may feel that, oh, will my child feel, connected with everybody else? Absolutely, yes. Why? Because it's so diverse. Then again, we have so many green spaces, and we have so many sporting facilities on campus and, of course, off campus as a city and as a university as well. How do we set you up for success? By ensuring that all our programs lead to a career. So it is basically career-focused learning, which basically means that 100% of our programs include this component, which is called experiential learning. Means what? They will have a cooperative education. Means what? You can combine a study and a work term every year if you would like to. And you know what? These are all paid terms as well. They add to your resume and add to your experience and give you so much of exposure in your own field of studies. Like, if I were into aerospace engineering, I am actually going to a Boeing and doing like a 3 to 4 months project there and getting paid for it and getting exposure and so on and so forth. So it's thrilling. Then there are, of course, field placements. There are otherwise also internships, which might not be plugged in as a co-op internship. Then we have constantly, we get into, research projects. So let's say, for an example, if you had an event in the city, our business, students are actually working on real life case studies of these events which are happening in the city. How are we managing the hospital situation? How are we handling the stadium space situation? And all of these are research projects and case studies, and then laboratory work. Live acting simulation classes in our psychology program are pretty active and pretty popular. So you basically, when you come to a university like TMU, you're getting your hands dirty for sure. This is what we were talking about earlier, which is like, I think one of the best features about Canadian education in general. And I'm sure Amit, my colleague from Alberta, will be talking about it as well. So these on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see a few of the companies wherein my students have worked already and are continuing to get employed here. And as an average package, you do get a $7,000 per term, which is pretty good. Like if you really convert it into your own currency, which is pretty decent. I mean, you're able to cover your own living expense. And I've had one student who earned up to $100,000 during, the co-op internship. So why not, come and get this exposure while you are studying? This is what we were talking about early on in my presentation, which was about incubation. We are all about entrepreneurship and innovation. So if both of these terms resonate with you, come to TMU. And why so? We have these, at the bottom of the screen, you can see 10 zones, which are 10 learning zones. If any of you has any entrepreneurial, projects in your mind, we do it really, really well. And how? We give you the research support, number one. We also assist you in getting funding from real life, investors. Currently, as we speak, we have more than 5,000 plus active startups. And this is why we are number one in the world for that as well. Moving on from there, again, our academics are very well renowned. We have these 6 faculties, which will cover in a brief way because of time constraints, but Faculty of Arts and our popular programs, and this would be economics and finance and psychology, philosophy. Economics and finance doesn't even need mathematics, guys. So it is a good catch here. Faculty of Community Services is so popular for nursing. And if you hadn't known already, we just launched our medical school as well, though it's not open for an international student. But in turn, I would like to reiterate what Sachin was saying. The kind of medical or health facility needs are there, means more employment for you all in health field. So if you were interested in any of these community services, you would be very well getting some co-op internships even at our own medical school and, in the city. Then let's not forget one of the most popular faculties of course, engineering and architectural sciences. We offer aerospace at undergrad, which most, Canadian universities don't offer at undergrad level. And you can also take an undeclared engineering if you were not very sure what to get into. Then Faculty of Sciences is, of course, computer sciences, one of the more popular programs, and biomedical sciences, mathematics, medical physics, which is a rare, I think, a program still, which is all about radiology. Then this faculty is the business faculty. It's the biggest business faculty in the country, means in cohort size. And we offer so many of majors in the program. And you get a degree of Bachelor of Commerce here. Then we are number 2 in the country for our creative school and offer amazing, amazing fashion degree and interior design degree and creative industries here, amongst other choices. We do offer 2 starts to the students, which is one is September start, which is fall, it is called popularly, and mostly all programs are available in this. And then the next one is winter, which is January start. So again, as an international student, so many of us are worried that, okay, what if I flunked English? What if I was not able to do mathematics and so on and so forth? So all of that support is already available for you. How to even go and look out for a job. We will help you write your CV. We will help you, assist you with a co-op placement cell to, how to even find a job, so on and so forth. And all of this is number 1 in the country for, for student support. Again, this is international student support. Again, there could be, more study permit related, queries which you may have, and our ISS department helps you with that. Athletics and recreation, I never undermine the importance of physical health and, mental well-being while you are doing such rigorous academics. So we have all these teams, you name it, like swimming and gyms. There are so many, gymnasiums at the campus. You wanted to do horse riding, we have that as well. So very many activities to keep you engaged besides the academics part of it. And then, of course, we do have on-campus residents and off-campus residents as well is available. The tuition fee ranges from $36,000 to $42,000. Mostly 42 is for Faculty of Engineering and Business program. And Sachin was in his initial slides was mentioning about the cost as well. The Canadian government has given an estimate for all international students as $20,000 per year for food and lodging and, your books and supplies and the miscellaneous charges. So you can kind of, keep that amount as an estimate for your living expense. We do offer winter scholarships as well, and they are application-based, based on merits, as well as you have like a solid stellar essay component along with letters of recommendation from the school. We have scholarships in fall as well. Now for all of you would be fall of 2026. I'm not sure if all of you can hear some background music because I think there's some marriage procession happening in our vicinity. So sorry about that. I'm glad, Sachin, thanks. We, of course, accept one of the most popular English, test providers, ETS and, TOEFL provided by them. And of course, the GRE provided by them at our graduate level as well. We do accept a GRE score for our MBA program. And we, of course, accept TOEFL for our undergrad programs for English proficiency tests. For international curriculum, TOEFL is not needed. However, for any national curriculum, it is needed, like your HSCs and CBSEs. We need the TOEFL test scores as well. And that's my information. If you wanted to take a quick snapshot of that, my details are there. And of course, we are staying connected even now, and I'll be available to answer any of your questions after. Thank you. And here I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you so much, Parul. I will now request Amit Arora from University of Alberta. I'd like to invite him and please share information and insights about University of Alberta with the students.
Thank you. Thank you, Lakshmi. I'll just begin sharing the presentation. And thank you so much, Sachin, for the wonderful information and Parul as well. I guess, whatever I share, it's going to be kind of a very, very generic thing, but then I'll try to keep it as short as I can and as informative as I could. All right. So, yeah, once again, thank you everyone for having me and having UFA as a panelist here. So my name is Amit Arora, and I'm the Senior Recruitment Advisor for University of Alberta. I take care of the India operations. Yeah, here we are. So, University of Alberta. So we are one of the top four institutions in Canada, ranked overall top 100 in the world, uh, top two for AI research in the world, the only university in Canada to offer AI as a major. So these are, a couple of quick specs about the university. So please mind my speed of the slides, Sachin and everyone who's joined in. I'm just kind of used to it. So yeah, so we're home to about 44. So the number is like out there. So 44,000 plus students from 160 diverse countries uh, of the world. You will find a lot of diversification, as a university there. Here, it's just a beautiful kind of a drone view of how Edmonton looks like. And for students and people who love to go to the malls, you'll be surprised to know. So this Rogers Place that you see, it's located and situated in one of the largest malls in Edmonton, which is quite a spectacle to view for all the students. I mean, so imagine, I mean, how huge and how humongous a mall could be, which could actually accommodate a full style arena. So this is just a general thing about. So we have three campuses, namely, but then we'll talk about only two. One is North Campus, which is also termed as the main campus. Then we have Augustana as well, which is an hour and a half away from the main campus. We also have a third campus, which is called St. John. We do not really, mention that campus until or unless someone is really French oriented, because all the subjects and courses taught there are French based. So the average class size, I mean, as you can see from the slide, is 51, 200 plus undergrad programs, a lot of diversity and a lot of mixed bag of everything under one roof that you could consider. One of the largest universities offering research facilities. We have Nobel laureates, to our kitty of University of Alberta. So as you can see, I mean, 400 research partnerships globally. Largest research library in Canada, which is rated as number two. So yeah, yeah. So as we said, we have like a lot of faculties to cover from. We have this is a faculty called AILS, which is Agricultural, Life, Environmental Sciences, which I would really like to reiterate that because the world is moving towards sustainable. I mean, as we so-called, it's called sustainable goals. So here you'll find courses environmental sciences, sustainable energy. So there are a lot of courses available in this faculty. Then we have Faculty of Arts. So Faculty of Arts has predominantly, quite prominent courses. You have a bachelor's in economics, psychology, criminology is one thing, political science. So students who are looking to pursue a career in IR, which is international relations, political science, sociology. These are a couple of prominent courses that you could go for. Faculty of Business has a lot of courses. I would just like to highlight a couple of them. Business law and economics, one of the most deadliest combination of the courses that you would ever find. One of the best courses that I highly recommend. Finance, accounting, yes, that is there. For budding and aspiring entrepreneurs, we have a course in entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship and innovation as well. Uh, and the list goes on. I would not recommend management, guys, because it's not the right time to go for management. However, I think in the future, once we see that the skill set is rising, and I think and the management does work with the right skill set. If you have certain amount of work experience, then it's always good to have that management. But I think considering what is the need of the hour is. I mean, like business economics and law. I mean, you get into more and more of skill-based jobs that, anyways, eventually is the goal of any child or any parent who's investing in their child. So yeah, engineering, one of the most strongest facilities and strongest faculties that we have. So engineering, I mean, we have a lot of programs in engineering that we offer. You can go for computer engineering, there's petroleum, there's chemical, there's electrical and computing, there's mechanical, and the list goes on. And it's and just for your information, our placement record for the engineering faculty is 98%. And all of our engineering graduates, they get a guaranteed co-op. They don't have to apply for it. It is a default part of the program. And the other good news is you get 5 co-ops, which means 20 months of paid co-ops, which is again another added bonus, which adds to your skills, adds to what you earning. I mean, it boosts your confidence, and I think there's a lot you can achieve. And these are all as my colleague Paru rightly pointed out, these are the live projects that you work on, because the condition that we have with our employers who associate or who post on UFA's website for the job postings, the condition with them that we have is you will not offer our students desk jobs. So all of our students, they work on live projects so that they can gain the real life knowledge which can help them accelerate in the career. So yes, then we have Faculty of Science, one of the again largest faculties that we have. So science has a lot of programs. The main highlight is like the CS. AI is one of the most sought out programs. So as I said in the beginning of the presentation, so we are the only university in Canada to offer AI as a majors. So we have 3 options in CS. One is CS software practices, then you can go for CS AI, and then we have CS general as well. Following to that, I mean, we have a lot of courses as well, like biochemistry, molecular biology. You can get into astrophysics. So, and the list goes on. There are a lot of programs in the Faculty of Science. We do offer nursing as well. We do have dental hygiene as well. So we can always, discuss that. Uh, yeah, the most important, and I think for the parents, I think this will be a very interesting slide. So UFA, I mean, we are known for offering some of the biggest and largest scholarships across Canada. So when I begin with scholarships, so what we have is we have various types of scholarships. So I'll begin with presidential scholarship, which is the largest pot of scholarships that we have. The amount of that scholarship is $120,000. So yes, you heard it right. So it's $120,000, which is technically $30,000 per year. But yes, I mean, there are certain eligibility criteria that you got to meet. I mean, you need to submit an essay. You can always apply for these scholarships on the basis of your predicted grades. So let's say, we open up our admissions October 1st. So students who have their predicted grades above 90 and above, they are more than welcome to apply for these scholarships. The results, obviously, for these scholarships are announced in the first week of March. But then, and there are 25 spots available across the globe. FYI from India, I mean, if you are curious to know, last year 5 students got it. This year 2 students have got it. So, I mean, there is a lot of potential for the right fit of the students who are looking forward for huge scholarships. Then we have other scholarships. One is called Gold Standard, as you can see. Then we have International Admission Scholarship. Then we have Regional Excellence Scholarship as well. And then there are International Leadership Scholarship Award as well. So these other 3 scholarships are all admission based, which is on the basis of your merits. And the International Leadership Scholarship Award, which goes up to $15,000. For this, I think the students, they need to submit a project wherein, I mean, they have proven a leader, led a team of about 4 or 5 friends or colleagues of them. And if you want to submit something like that, and if the project is liked by the faculty, who knows, I mean, you might get $15,000 plus the $10,000. So technically, I mean, there's a lot, I mean, that you can gain. Yeah. So this is how the tuition fee would look like at University of Alberta. The generic approaches, I mean, for Faculty of Science, you're looking at $36,000 in change per year. You're looking at $3,600 for the miscellaneous, which is books and supplies, and your miscellaneous and medical health and medical as well. And for the residents, just for your information, we offer guaranteed accommodation for our first year undergraduates. And the whole package costs you $13,600 for an 8-month contract, which includes your meals as well. Again, a very looked at a very, very competitive pricing, I would say. So this is how broadly, I mean, the tuition fee with the faculties would look like. And also, I really take pride in it when we say that we guarantee the tuition fee. Now, what we really mean by guarantee is, let's say, for example, I mean, you've enrolled in Faculty of Science. Your tuition fee is $36,000 in fall 26. So fall 30, I mean, till you graduate for 4 years, your tuition fee is not going to go up, not even by $1. So that's the guarantee we give you, no matter the world goes upside down. I mean, the tuition fee will never change, and it is mentioned specifically on your offer letter as well. So this is, what in a broader perspective our tuition fee looks like. Faculty of Engineering is $48,000 per annum. Business, again, it's $42,000 in change. Science, 36. Faculty of Arts, again, it's almost the same price. For Augustana, we have courses and nursing that is approximately $33,000 a year. A couple of important deadlines that we have. So we generally begin October 1st, as I said. I mean, for scholarships, the deadline is Jan 10th. The admission deadline is March 1st. But then, I mean, if there is a promising applicant, we can definitely push the application for that. And we have residence April 30th is the date to apply for your residence. May 1st is the deadline to apply for the offers. So yeah, so that was the undergrad part. I would just like to touch base on the grad part side of things. So as you can see, I mean, there are about 8,400 plus graduate students, with a lot of postdoctoral, fellows across 500 masters, that is there at University of Alberta. Broadly, I mean, the courses that are offered and as in the beginning of the presentation, as I said, I mean, we are a research-based university, so there are a lot of courses, which would require a research paper for any graduate to, do their masters at UFA. So they have to submit a research paper, and the faculty has to kind of, shortlist and has to kind of accept. And that is when the admission process begins. It's not that everybody who applies to University of Alberta graduate program is likely to get accepted, because it's a highly ranked university. So the chances are you have to be really good to be a part of UFA's master's program. So we have engineering, business, education, health. These are programs, that we offer. In a broader perspective, this is, what we look at. We do not accept students with 15 years of education. We need 16 years of education for you to qualify. We have an MBA, which is a course-based thing, but then you require a minimum 1 year of executive level work experience, not a entry level. So executive level work experience is a mandate. You do require GMAT as well. And yeah, this is, I mean, and GMAT is with a score of 550. This is, what we generally look at. And yeah, thank you so much. I think the list can go on and on. Thank you so much, everyone, for bearing with me. I hope the information was useful, and we'll be happy to take up any questions. Thank you. Over to you, Lakshmi.
Thank you so much, Amit, for sharing information about University of Alberta. Now I present Ms. Maria Mathai. She is the founder of Advisory, and she's a legend. If when we talk about Canada, the knowledge and everything, she is the encyclopedia. So Maria, over to you. I will request you to please share information about the Canadian universities and how students actually should prepare for Canada and what life they can seek in Canada.
Thank you so much, Lakshmi. So just wanted to confirm, can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Lakshmi. Thanks to Shiksha and to ETS for this wonderful session. Thanks, Sachin. You did a great job of introducing Canada, and thanks, Parul and Amit, for giving the university perspective. So I just want to go into one of the biggest worries that students and parents have today, which is employment. Because let's be very candid. I think the whole purpose of higher education is that it gives you a pathway to successful employment. And that is exactly that what I want to cover today. I will focus on the four largest provinces in Canada, but of course, it does not mean that there is no employment in other provinces. So, just to give you a perspective, I started working on Canadian education in 2003. At that time, 6,200 students went from India to Canada. And last year, it's, I think, definitely around 4.1 lakh students who went, maybe slightly more than that. But in my 22 years, I've seen a lot of ups and down cycles. So this time is not something which has not happened before. I think it is just what we need to do is maybe make our decisions on higher education and employment with a different framework than what we have used in the last 5 years and what our seniors, our elder siblings, or people we know, the templates they have followed may no longer be applicable in this scenario. So, as a person who has 22 years advising for Canada, as somebody who was awarded by the Governor General of Canada in 2014, of course, but still, and as a member of International ACAC, which is one of the most respected counseling bodies in the world, based out of USA, I'm going to try and give you a higher education roadmap and breaking it down into three areas. One is foundation, which is this phase when you are researching what to do, how to go about it. Then development, which is the time that you will be studying in Canada. And then the transition phase from your higher education to employment, which is your last 1 year or 2 years, depending on which course you are going into. So the first thing that you have to keep in mind, Sachin has mentioned this in his presentation, both Parul and Amit also kind of touched base on it. What you have to be very clear on is your program selection, your course selection has to be strategic. It can no longer be, ki, okay, I can do business and I will get a job, or I will do engineering and I will get a job, and I will get a job which is $100,000, or I will get a job which is $200,000 because the demand was there in the market. Now you'll have to be a bit more strategic in what you choose. And keeping that in perspective, I've tried to break it down into which province is known for which. So Ontario, which is where TMU is known for fintech and AI. Alberta, as Amit said, definitely known for AI, but also for petroleum and energy. Quebec is the leader in aerospace, and British Columbia, sustainable technology, green technology, clean energy. These are all areas that each province specializes in. And what you need to know is you want to increase your odds of employment, maybe pick a co-op or maybe pick a course which will give you that employment. So each province has a certain value proposition, and I'm going to focus on that value proposition, which does not mean that like Alberta does not have business or Ontario does not have, say, clean tech or gaming. There is obviously overlap in all subjects everywhere. You will find it across Canada. But each province has a certain specialization, and it would be good if in your research you align your higher education search with the specialization in the province. So, Ontario, capital of Ottawa, and like capital of Canada, Ottawa, and the capital of Ontario, which is Toronto, the largest city in Canada, is there. Financial, it's the tech hub. It's everything related to finance happens in Ontario and Toronto. But you can also, obviously, you can work in finance in Montreal, you can work in finance in British Columbia, you can work in finance in Calgary, in Halifax, in other areas. So keep that in mind. So just a snapshot. Obviously, it's difficult to encapsulate a whole country in a slide in 4 points. But what I've tried to do is give you a broad area so that you can go dig deeper depending on your education, what you have studied till now, and what you want to do next. So, like I said, we begin with the course that you pick and what will be the value of that course in the province that you're going to study. And then you work towards, okay, this province makes sense because Alberta has zero provincial tax and I'm a bit tight on my funds, so it would help me. Quebec has a lower tuition percentage, but maybe if I want to just be in, let's say, finance, then I will pick an Ontario or a BC. So that's what I mean when I say be a bit more strategic in your foundation phase when you're picking and choosing. Then the next element is your development phase while you are in Canada. So everybody's referred to co-op, but nobody's really explained co-op. So I'm going to take 1 minute to explain co-op to you. It's a inbuilt work experience where you get paid, and this is a part of your education. So whether you're going for undergrad or for postgrad, if you have a co-op, you will end up working in a company related to your area of study, and that gives you an unbeatable advantage when you're looking at co-op. And co-op placements are always higher than non-co-op students. So if you can, but co-op is also very tough to get into. So if you can get into a co-op, definitely aim for a co-op because that work experience is invaluable, especially as you're going as an international student who does not have any Canadian work experience. So having worked during your education, when you submit your CV for an employer, that particular thing gives you an edge. So this is what you have to keep in mind. So like I said, Ontario, FinTech, Alberta, like just energy, not just petrol and oil, but carbon capture. What is the future of energy? So think in every industry, where is it going? In Quebec, if it's aerospace, we are looking at multilingual, bilingual aerospace. Like because now every country would like to, translation, etc. is with AI, it's there. So if you're looking at BC, environment, when we think of environment, you have to think beyond forests, river, pollution. Environment is not just about that. And how you build in technology into it. So when you say a cloud sustainable architecture, like sustainable architecture here does not mean a green building. Here, sustainable architecture could also mean hardware. How you're developing, some of the biggest polluters now are the tech companies. So how you're building an architecture which is sustainable in reality. So this is some of the things that you have to keep in mind. And like I said, while high grades are important, a future employer will always prioritize experience over your GPA. So if you have work experience, that's kind of an advantage that nobody can beat you. And the last phase is your transition phase when you're ready to graduate and you're looking for employment, right? So at that time, from here to there, that's 2-3 years down the line. If you're going for an undergrad, that's 5 years down the line. The world has changed, that we all know. Like in 2 years ago, what was the reality may not be the reality. So we are trying to project 2 to 5 years ahead. So take stock of the job market at that point. When you're in your third year, if you're UG, when you're entering your second year, if you're a PG student, take stock of the grad market and see, does it still have the same value as when you joined? If it doesn't, change your plans, reevaluate your plans, look at how, with the education you have, what are the kinds of jobs that you can go. You may have gone from here thinking that you're going to work with ChatGPT or Claude, but when you go over there 2 years from now, who knows what else is going to come up. So be a bit more flexibility towards what can come up. And these are all approximate salaries that you can earn if you're in this industry. Right? Then I'm not going to talk about the immigration part of it because Sachin had a lovely slide on the provincial nominee program. So this is just a duplication. So I'm just going to skip from this to the next one. Now, like I said, within your sector, what is the career that you enter into? And also see in that career, 5 years down the line, 6 years down the line, where will you be? Entry level, everybody starts off low. What you also need to look at is 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, are you still in the lower end of the bracket or is your career going to just go shoot up like that? right? So do that bit of research, do that bit of analysis to see not just your education, but where that education is going to take you in your career. And in the career, where are you going to be when you start out? And 5 years down the line, okay, 10 years is a bit of a stretch, but at least 5 years tak to aap, you can check, right? And then related to the province that you are in. Like I said, I've talked about only these four provinces, but if you look at Manitoba and Saskatchewan have natural resources, agriculture, mining, uranium. If you look at Halifax or Atlantic Canada, there's a lot of ocean research and tech research or marine research over there. So there is a lot of availability of jobs. You just need to be a bit more strategic about it than we have been. And then, of course, also see like you're going to be spending 1, 2, 3, 4 years over there. See which companies have the kind of jobs that you want. Make that list. When you see a job, save it in your. Nowadays, it's also easy. It's take a click. You don't even have to cut out from a newspaper and keep that clipping, which is what my generation we had to do, right? So all you have to do is save it somewhere on your phone or your notepad somewhere, but keep track of the kind of companies you want to work at. Try to get an internship there, bug them, drop your CV, maybe sometimes even go in person and see what are they doing, what are they like, which where are they going to hire, what kind of people are they hiring. Talk to people, talk to your professors, talk to your seniors, talk to your Canadian classmates. What are they like, the more you learn, the more information you have, the better you will be when you're going out there looking for a job. And this slide, if you want, you can take a screenshot. I've made it for a 4-year undergrad, but you can just compress it if you're going for a 2-year master's. But like I said, year one, like make sure you've got a program or a course which is aligned to the province. If you need to have language, which is the case in certain provinces, make sure you have your language tests and everything done. Sachin did a beautiful presentation on TOEFL, so that's obviously you have that advantage. Get your co-op and build employer specific skills. I cannot emphasize this enough. Make sure you do that. And see in year 3 or year 4 if you can initiate your PR application if you're eligible. If you're not, then go back to your drawing board and get the employment. And like I said, leverage your provincial advantage. Use the information you've gathered to find the kind of employer who will give you the push and the experience to make your Canadian dream come true. And I'll end with this last statistics, which is a tiny bit. 95% employment in 6 months if your course is aligned to what the province wants. That's a very powerful statistic. Keep that and keep cross-referring that. 2 years down the line, I'm sure it is going to increase. It's not going to decrease. And on that note, I'm going to end. Thank you for the time. The best way to connect with me is either on email or on LinkedIn, where I'm available by my name, Maria Mathai. Thanks so much. Back to you, Lakshmi.
Thank you so much, Maria, for sharing information. I'll now take questions from the students. Students, if you have questions that you want to ask, I'll request you to please post your questions in the Q&A section, or you can just raise hand so that we can take your questions live. I'll start taking questions for TOEFL first, and then we will take university specific and then country specific questions for you, Maria. Okay. So, Sachin, I have a question. So, there's a student who is asking about sectional cutoff. That student is planning to take TOEFL for Canada, but is confused regarding the sectional cutoff. I think the student is confused, like just like IELTS, the sectional cutoff is actually recorded separately.
Yes. So in TOEFL, you get a composite score for all the four competencies: listening, reading, speaking, and writing.
Mm-hmm.
And generally, from an eligibility standpoint, universities look at from a total score of 120. Like
Mm-hmm.
what Parul mentioned and Amit mentioned, it could be anywhere between 80 to 90 at a general level. And there are no sectional kind of requirements at a program level. So you should not be worried about the sectional cutoffs. You should just aim to get the best score.
Yeah.
in TOEFL.
Okay. I'll move on to next question. This question is around speaking section. So student has asked, Alekha has asked that can you throw some light on speaking section and how are we judged for the speaking section?
So interestingly, in TOEFL, first and foremost, it is not just AI. So it's an AI plus human.
Mhm.
That's four. So there are a lot of local mother tongue influence. That bias is not there because it is also being judged by a human proctor or a human rater along with AI, which I think is one unique advantage with TOEFL. The second is you have to take the speaking section there and then as part of the 2 hour test, so you don't have to come again,
Mm.
which may be the case in some of the other tests. The third is we look at the clarity of thought. We are not really hung up at TOEFL in terms of specific words or etc. You can use, so it's basically more about how you're expressing yourself rather than using some esoteric vocabulary. That's not what we look for. So I think it is much more simpler. And then there are a lot of the section level test prep which you can find on TOEFL Test Ready that can give you a real kind of a flavor on how you should practice for the speaking section for
Yeah.
TOEFL.
Yeah. Okay. Another question is from Saurabh, who is asked that how taking TOEFL can be benefit in meeting the English language requirement for admission to a university in Canada.
See, I think TOEFL is one of the tests that are accepted. So I won't say that TOEFL is the only test accepted, right? Obviously, your English language competency. There are in some of the universities and institutions there are scholarships associated with the TOEFL score. So that's what you can avail for. And two, as I said, is the ease of taking the test. It can be taken both in a home edition kind of at your home versus a test center. So the test center, in case happens to be 50, 60, 70 kilometers from your home, you can take a home edition test anytime, anywhere from your home. So
Right.
that's a real convenience. And then with all the kind of test prep, etc., that we're offering to the students, it helps you just get better
Mm.
at English. And as we say that English is a medium of expression.
Mm.
And in an international campus, how when you're able to express yourself in a classroom setting really also enables success for you as a student
Right.
and as an international student.
Yeah. Thanks. I'll take one last question. So this is regarding difficulty level of TOEFL. That student has read somewhere that somewhat TOEFL may be difficult. So he just asking question that what is the difficulty level of TOEFL of taking TOEFL?
Any test not prepared well is difficult, right? It is similar to till the time you don't know how to ride a bicycle, even riding a bicycle is difficult. So you need to train yourself, and to me, kind of after that, it's like a cakewalk. So that's what I would say that prepare well for TOEFL. It helps you, like I was answering the previous question, it helps you in how you are engaging in an international campus, both across all the four competencies. And with all the test prep that's available, you can prepare well for TOEFL. So it's just a perception, like any other skill that till the time you don't get trained, it is difficult.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sachin. Now I'll take some questions for the universities. So there's a student who has asked, who is planning to apply for MS in Business Analytics. So these asked question that what could be a median average salary for a student who is graduating from an MS in Business Analytics program from both of you. He's asked this question, Amit and Parul.
All right. So it's a very tricky part, understanding and basically the dynamics of the market because see, it all depends on the kind of client or kind of employee that you're working for.
Mhm.
I mean, let's say, for example, you've done a degree in analytics, you're working for KPMG or you're working for Deloitte, and then you're working for like XYZ employer, right? Every employer has a set bandwidth. And I think it all depends, as we were discussing, with Sachin when the session didn't even begin. It boils down to the skill level of the candidate as well. I mean, they might have a set bandwidth of, $70,000 to $80,000. But then, I mean, if someone is so good, with what they have sold in the interview, or what they've achieved in the career path, I think the employer would never let a valuable asset go anywhere for about, for X amount of, dollars. I mean, if they think that it is worthwhile taking a shot on that. So it's kind of very difficult, to answer that, because bandwidth is different with every employer or any employer.
Yeah.
Yeah, to add to that, Lakshmi, if I may, for everyone, like, I mean, there's so many parameters, as Amit was mentioning rightly, like there would be the kind of experience you're coming out as well with at master's level along with your degree. However, I think in my experience at about 11 years, I've seen students doing as an average, like, 65 to $70,000 they do start with. And of course, then there's no end from there. I hope that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea and return on investment. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll move on to the next question. So this is regarding 3 years of bachelor's. Student has asked that if the universities accept 3 years of bachelor's, and if not, what are the pathways that they can, look for or apply for?
So if you ask me, UFA, I mean, we have a very, very clear policy, 16 years of education. So there are no ifs and buts to that. But then just a, piece of advice, if someone is looking at a couple of universities, they do accept 3 years, or they might accept, certain exceptions. So my advice is, I mean, that there shouldn't be a break, because let's say, for example, if you've done a 3 years of bachelor's from a recognized, let's say from DU, Delhi University, right? And then you have a 1 year continuing PG course, which is again from DU under the flagship of DU. That could be one of the exceptions, but that varies from institution to institution. However, as a clear mandate, and just to avoid any complications when you are, struggling to find universities, or probably shortlisting universities, probably the best ones or the average ones, when it said 16 years, they think it is 12 plus 2 plus 4,
Hmm.
10 plus 2 plus 4. So that's the standard approach to it.
Mhm. Okay.
And in addition to that, I think again, with so many Canadian universities having different rules and policies, my one, kind of advice to all the students is please be very specific of the university you are choosing and the program you're choosing. Like, one program, University of Alberta, may just be accepting a 15-year or a 16-year, and TMU might not be. So please be very specific. It's so easy to go on our respective websites and check the program, needs. Having said that, Canadian education is so wide, and there's so many institutions which exist anyway to offer you a graduate diploma to bridge the gap as well.
Hmm.
Though at Amit's level and at my level, we do not at our universities offer these diploma programs, but there are many other providers which you can look up. Thank you.
Okay. Another interesting question for both of you is regarding the support for internships and co-ops.
Okay. So in terms of support and internships, as he mentioned in the presentation, so we have a separate cell. So it is not a typical, as an Indian language, that we call it terminology or placement cell. But then we do have set of people who are experts. They'll help you write your resume, highlight your skills, what is required, what not is required, help you prepare your interviews as well. So there's a job portal that you go on. You select certain employers that you look forward to, that you aspire to. Like, if I were there, if I'm studying at CS, I would definitely, mean, who doesn't want to work for Google or a Microsoft, or LinkedIn, kind of a company. So I would go on to that, particular employer, see if I am ready to go for to take on a project for a year, because the co-ops duration is varies from institution to institution. For UFA, it's minimum 4 months, maximum 16 months, except the Faculty of Engineering, which is 20 months guaranteed, right? So I would go ahead onto the website, choose the employer, which is offering, let's say if I'm prepared to go for an 8 month project. So I would, shortlist those employers. Let's say, and look for those employees who are offering that 8 months, internship or a project for me. That's how, it works. But just one clear, not instruction, but one clear piece of advice is, please do not expect a spoon feeding. It is not like that. It is not India. So please have an open and a broader mindset once you step out of your, and you have to step out of your comfort zone as well. Because see, to them, it is all for the undergraduates, not for the postgrads. To them, I mean, you are an adult now. I mean, 17 going on 18, or probably an 18. So you are an adult. So there is no spoon feeding that you might expect. But then, yes, having said that, please ask for help. Do not hesitate. It's not like, I mean, you should have some egoistic issues that if I go to him, he's not going to help me. They're ready to help you, even your seniors, your professors. It's just that, I mean, people don't ask for it. So I always advise, it's a strong recommendation, strong advice. Please do ask for help. And I can guarantee you, you will not be misled. You will be led to the right direction. That's how, things work. And I'm sure, I mean, Parul also resonates with, what I have to say.
Absolutely agreed with Amit there. And I think mostly all public funded big universities in Canada do offer similar services. So this kind of, replicates to us as well at TMU. To add here, I would just like to add two small quick points. Please remember that though there is services available for co-op internships, GPA is a very crucial and important point. Please do not miss out and score a lower GPA thinking that you will still be able to bag a co-op internship. It is going to be a dividing factor there. And at TMU, just an interesting piece of fact, even if you graduated from a university and 20 years down the line, you were looking for some career change and, like, I don't want to be a fashion designer anymore. I want to be an engineer, whatever. Our career cell still helps you even as an alumni. So this is the kind of support we lend to even our domestic students, not only international. Thank you.
Okay. I'll move on to next question from Aryan. He has asked that if you can help him. Okay, so I think the student is at research stage. He wants to know that what is the duration from an application submission date to offer date, when to take English language test and prepare for the visa interview. So
So it's a research student,
no, I think he's a bachelor student.
undergrad.
Yeah, undergrad.
Okay, so in general perspective, I think okay, so if you are in your grade 12 in the current year, let's say you're preparing for fall 26, my advice is, since I'll talk about UFA. So October 1st is when we open up the admissions. We accept applications based on your predicted grades as well. So if you're ready by October, you can apply in October. If you're ready by November, I think majority of the students are ready by November. That's what the general trend that we've seen. So once you have your predicted grades ready, please submit those. And if you think you qualify for the presidential scholarship, which is $120,000, please submit an essay of 500 words, which can help you. And in the meanwhile, your other scholarships are assigned to you based on your academic score. Now, when covering the other part, the IELTS, I think if you are not under a lot of pressure with your grades and everything, since you're already done with your predicted scores, so and considering you already have an English background, so it doesn't take more than a month or a month and a half, depending on how your grasping power is. I mean, whatever exam that you would want to take, you can prepare well in advance because it saves a lot of time while you're readying your application for the visa. So the sooner you start, the better it is. It all depends on how you calculate and how you navigate your journey through the whole process. But then we at UFA are a very, very old school, but very, very plain and simple in terms of our application process. You submit the documents, we give you the conditional offer. And the only condition that is left is English proficiency and your final exams, which happens, majority of it is the unconditional release after May, once the results are declared. And I think that is when majority of the things are done and sorted into places. We're not looking for LORs, we're not looking for SATs, we're not looking anything. All I need is the minimum average to crack and the eligibility criteria, which is 80 and above. Then you have your English proficiency, TOEFL, 90 overall, nothing less than 21. And we do not accept home edition. It is only IBT that we accept. That is what we require. Looking for higher scholarships, be a good student, be an academic, kind of a scholar, 90% and above, submit an essay, you get lucky, you get your education. Technically, it's kind of free, but then there are other scholarships, then you qualify. That's how simplified, we are with our application process.
To add to my process, and I'll just take this question in parts and quickly answer each of them, three of them. Can you tell me the duration from application submission day to offer letter day? The moment you give me all the documents, trust you me, I have had a psychology student get an offer letter in 3 days from my university because the grade 10, grade 11, grade 12 midterm marks and grade 12 predicted marks were submitted as soon as the application was made. So my simple answer is it may vary from 2 to 3 business weeks. When to take English test? As soon as you know when you are ready to, kind of embark your journey outside of India, please start to do your mock preparation, for your TOEFL test and start to take. And why don't you use like your Diwali break or your summer vacation to get done with this test? Because these test scores are anyway valid for a bit of time, and you can use it for next couple of terms just in case you miss on one term. So, and prepare for visa again. Please always start the countdown from backward. So if you are targeting a September term, please look at IRCC's website to see the study permit timelines. They are very, very clearly mentioned for all the countries, which we are, having our target audience today. And if it is stating that it is 8 weeks from your country of origin, please prepare backwards and start, the process accordingly. Thank you.
Thanks. I have few questions for Maria also. I'd like to take that. So, Faizan has asked Maria that given the relationship between India and Canada now, is PR still a wise option?
Well, I'm very happy to tell you, Faizan, that both the prime ministers met very recently at the G7 summit on the fringes of that, and relationship is definitely on the right track. Both have committed to reinstating relationships, and diplomatic ties have been activated. So I think you can expect that whatever happened in the last 1.5, 2 years, it's definitely on the positive track now.
Great. Okay, I have one more question. This is regarding co-op strategy. So, student has asked that can a co-op strategy provide better opportunities for career in Canada?
Short answer, yes, 100%. Long answer, uh, absolutely. You have to, if you were there for my presentation, you have to have a co-op strategy because having a co-op automatically increases your chances of employment. And I know whether your goal is employment in Canada or not, some students, like I said, I've been doing this for 22 years. So some of my students plan to come back, some do stay on. Either way, I have come to the conclusion that a lot of students, even if they want to come back, they want to get that work experience. So that work experience for that co-op is invaluable. But I'll go back to what Parul said. Co-op is not easy. It's invaluable. It should be there. You should have a strategy for it. Just the fact that you asked this question gives me hope that you're on the right track. So continue to think strategically about it and plan for it so that you get it.
Okay, I'll move on to the next question from Saurabh that the IRCC changes have made some admissions difficult for a lot of international students. Maria, can you please advise how to plan for this?
Okay, so here I want to just clarify the IRCC changes have created this aura of panic and fear, but they've actually not made things difficult for international students. As an international student, if you look at it, your application has a much higher chance of getting admitted because a lot of things which were clogging up the system, like, earlier you would find that there were people were just applying whether they were committed or not because it was easy to apply and it was kind of plus there were a few unscrupulous players who were using the system to maybe run a few scams. So those have been taken out. Documentation has been updated and simplified again. Yes, the pilot programs. And here I would like to remind everybody that the STS was a pilot program. It was not a forever kind of a program. So the pilot program has achieved its success. If you saw my second slide, from 6,000, Canada is now at 4 lakhs. So the pilot program has done what it set out to achieve. So the pilot programs have shut down. If you look at every university, every university has space and more. Of course, if you're going for popular programs like a computer science or AI, nanotech, data analytics, those are competitive. But every university that I know of, including the two who are here, all of them have space and more for international students. No university is undersubscribed. Uh, so I don't think, like, I know the perception is that it has made things difficult, but actually, if you look at it, I think both from the visa perspective as well as from the admission perspective, you will find that things are easier right now. In fact, we were having this discussion just a few weeks back that a student who would have got through maybe three, who would have been declined 3 or 4 years back has now got a better chance of getting admitted to Canada because that's how much things have been streamlined and put in focus. So don't let all these news stop you from applying. Identify your university and go for it.
Yeah. I'll take one more question. I think you or the or Amit or Paul can also help us. The student has asked regarding if you can explain about the provincial allocation, which Sachin has also was talking about while he was presenting, and you have also repeated about this. So I have question regarding the provincial allocation. That what is it? How beneficial it is? What is the use of it? Why it is created actually?
Sachin, do you want to go for it? Okay. So, the provincial allocation is something like, again, if I have to give you a comparison, there is a countrywide strategy. The country needs X number of people. And then within each country, every state may have a different requirement. So, say, let's assume that Manitoba requires health workers. So, Manitoba will take out a separate provincial strategy to encourage health workers to stay back. Like, let's say, Nova Scotia needs people who are in agriculture, who are experts in marine technology. So their provincial program will say that if Canada is getting applications from people who have expertise in marine technology, then we will fast track them. So every province has identified certain gap areas in industry where they know that they will have labor shortages. And accordingly, they identify a program to attract applications for those. So basically, it's a way of fast tracking your immigration file. If you are, again, I'll say, if you're in the right industry and the right course, then in that particular province, your application can get fast tracked.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maria. Amit, I have a question from Chakali. He is asking that as a graduate student, he's looking for a PhD program at University of Alberta, and he wants to know about the scholarship and stipend for the PhD programs.
So to answer that question, Lakshmi, because every program comes with different
Hmm.
approaches, and since we are a research-based university, as I mentioned, so there's an email ID. I can mention that in the chat box as well. See, they need to submit their research paper, and it has to go through the faculty. So the faculty has to shortlist that program, or the research paper. I'm sorry. And in terms of scholarships, and in terms of any aid or financial assistance is concerned, it is solely based on whether the research paper gets shortlisted, and then the other things fall into the place. So it's very critical. Whatever you submit, it has to be valuable. It has to kind of resonate, or probably it has to add value to why they would want to go for a PhD at UFA.
Hmm.
So that's how UFA functions in terms of grad. It's very critical. Not easy to get into grad programs at UFA. I would not say it's difficult, but then it has to add value. So
Hmm.
any student who is applying at UFA has to be very cautious of what they're submitting, and better their chances of getting it shortlisted in the program itself. So
Okay.
I'll just put the email ID in the chat box if they
Sure.
would want to.
Meanwhile, I'll ask one question that is Mansi has been asking me for four times that she has asked me. Student is asking that what are about other fields like design and fashion. If you can mention the scope in studies and jobs in Canada for design and fashion.
I can definitely talk, but I think Parul, your university also has a very well-known design and fashion program. So if you want to start, and then I can wrap it, go on from there.
Sure, Maria, thanks. So we do have the creative school, which houses our, creative industry programs like creative industry, fashion, interior design, sports, media, film production, so on and so forth. So when it comes to, employment, I was mentioning during a presentation also that, it's one of the higher ranked faculties which we have in the whole of country. Our employment rate for the faculty is also very high, which is above 90%. Um, I personally feel the way creative fields are valued in Canada are way different what our perspective is in South Asia. So please be open-minded to rather experiment in these fields because they are very much employable. I will give you a very small example here so that you get a little bit of a comparison. All of us in South Asia want to go for a business related program. However, if we gave you an alternative to a business degree, wherein probably the cohort size already is of 500, and now after graduating, 500 of you are going to the same employer to find a job. I give you an alternative degree, which is creative industries, which basically means that you are doing a business, degree, but in the creative fields. Now, don't you want to be like let's say a manager or managing an account of a popular sportsman or a film celebrity, or don't you want to have your own fashion jewelry kind of brand? Please start to extrapolate the business skills to creative fields to get jobs. So I think that kind of should be answering the scope of creative industries. Back to you, Maria. Thank you.
Thanks, Parul. So, for creative industries, be it fashion, be it acting, be it music, the benchmark is not just the employer, the benchmark is your audience. So, you have to have an audience. So, to that level, yes, it's a huge industry. But as with all things creative, you may have the best product in the world, but if the person in front of you doesn't recognize it as art or doesn't recognize it as a good design for a dress or a shoe or whatever, then it doesn't work. So when you're walking into a creative industry, be very, very clear what you want to accomplish. And I will say this for Canada, that if you want to get into the creative, you can't be better located than Canada because the largest market for fashion is right next door to Canada. So I would suggest that you do your undergrad and be like a lot of famous designers and a lot of famous comics who are they're Canadian, but then they moved to the US, whether be it for Hollywood or be it to be on the fashion weeks. Make that shift because the actual big money and the big thing is US. So Canada very nicely positions you to go from South Asia to Canada, and from Canada use your time in Canada as a good transition time, and then if you're aiming for the big league, make the shift to the US.
Thank you so much, Maria. I think we've passed the time and I still have few questions. Let me just check if there's some important question that we would like to take. Okay. So there was one question regarding scholarships. So student has asked that Canadian universities do not give too much of scholarship. So what is the basic eligibility that a student can get a good amount of scholarship in Canada?
Very wrong. Very wrong. Canada is known to give brilliant scholarships, and UFA is one of the live examples that you had. And I think he might have missed it. But then $420,000 scholarship last year from India itself, five students got it out of 25. This year, two students have got it, all 120. So that means $30,000 each year. So technically, if you're going for a faculty of science, $36,000 a year, you only pay what, 6K a year. So, I mean, I think you're very, very wrong in terms of, Canada doesn't offer scholarships. See, you have to be eligible to apply for that scholarship. If you need to have those hefty scholarships, you need to be up for it. I mean, you need to prove that yes, I mean, you've achieved something apart from your academics. Academic is one area, a threshold to qualify for that scholarship. So when Parul said, and when I said that you need to submit an essay, so essay has to have something which is academic, is you already proven it on the papers. But then there is something other than the academics, what the university would want to know. For example, on a personal level, what have you achieved in life? I mean, how good fit are you in that Canadian society? I mean, how good of a human being are you? I mean, are you a part of a charitable organization? Are you, supporting your parents in the business? Are you supporting a social welfare cause? I mean, how are your co-curriculars? So it's basically a mixed bag, an amalgamation of everything, but apart from academics. So it has to make sense while you're applying for those scholarships, but then not everybody gets lucky. I wish everyone does, but then let's accept the reality. Not everyone is that lucky. But then you do have other scholarships as well. So as UFA, as I said, I mean, the minimum scholarships for fall 25, anybody who had 80% and above got a scholarship of $5,000. And just to put into perspective, I mean, any students, if I give you a ballpark idea, any student who was between 85 to 90%, they've cracked a scholarship of ten to $15,000 even. So, I mean, it's kind of unfair to say that Canada doesn't offer scholarships. A lot of my respective institutions offer great, great scholarships. It all depends on the scholarship pot that they have and the funding that they have. And I think you have to be eligible to, qualify for those scholarships. Thank
Right.
you.
Maria,
Yeah,
you
so
raised.
I just wanted to add to that, saying that yes, there are scholarships and no scholarships compared to who? Canada has primarily merit scholarships. There are very few, let me put it, need-based scholarships. So if you're looking at a need-based scholarships, then maybe yes, your comment is a valid one. But if you're looking at merit-based scholarship, Canada definitely has a lot of scholarships. And the higher up the value, the higher level course you do, the higher the number of scholarships. PhDs are mostly fully subsidized. If your proposal gets accepted, if your research area gets accepted, then it's always subsidized, whether it's by a TA or a teaching assistantship or a research assistantship, it's always funded. Masters also, if you're going for a research-based master, it's always fully funded. If you go for a course-based master's or an MBA, MBA is an exception to that because I think MBA ROI is not by scholarship, the ROI is in the job that you get. And undergrad also, again, if you're a merit, it's a merit-based system. If you have the marks, then odds of you getting scholarship are very high. And you can always not just think of full scholarships. There are part scholarships also. You get 10% scholarship, 25% scholarship, 50% scholarship. 100% scholarship is the dream, of course, but also recognize that 10 years ago, only 50,000 students went abroad from India. Now 4 lakh students are going. So the competition is very, very stiff for those scholarships.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maria, and thank you to all the presenters who have joined us today and participated with us and helped students with their queries. Before we end up, to all the students who are still there in the call, we'll get in touch with you in case you have any further questions regarding Canada or policies or admission process. Siksha is there to help you out with your queries. In case you still want to get in touch with the university delegates, please let us know. We'll connect you to the university delegates. So once again, thank you everyone for joining us today and helping out the students. And thank you for the great session. Have a great evening. Bye-bye. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you,
Thank
Sachin.
you.
Bye. Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
Lakshmi.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sachin.
Thank you.